Welcome to Fanfiction Audiobook. Start with Superman, Beat Marvel. Chapter 61. Bruce's navigator, leading the two of them quickly fell into the quantum realm, constantly shuttling through the passages within it. The whole scene in front of him is like a cold-colored sewer pipe. It was the first time for Lin Feng to see such a sight. The navigator accurately brought the two of them to 2023, and then spit them out like throwing garbage. The sound of vibration came. The scene in front of him changed again, and Lin Feng and Bruce appeared together on the Avengers base, a mechanical platform made by Tony. Appearing at the same time as him, there are other Avengers on mission. Although the time of travel is different, the time for everyone to return is the same time, which was set before departure. Seeing this scene, Lin Feng couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. It seems that he didn't mean to guess the wrong system. At this moment, he has come to 2023 in the parallel universe. Wrinkles appeared on Tony's face. "Who are you?" Tony found Lin Feng standing beside Bruce, and asked with a serious expression. With his cry, several people's eyes quickly focused on this stranger who appeared inexplicably. The stranger was wearing a black battle suit, with varying degrees of damage all over his body. Under the battle suit, there are strong muscles wrapped, and the exposed skin, as if it had been burnt, oozes blood, but it is slowly healing. Such a scene, as if he had just experienced a big war, coupled with his identity as a stranger, undoubtedly made everyone suddenly vigilant. Tony held his right hand directly in front of his chest, and whenever Lin Feng moved, he would wake up the nano battle suit and give Lin Feng a shot. Steve also stared at Lin Feng closely, and clenched the shield in his hand. For a while, the scene was tense. Hey, everyone, calm down." A drop of cold sweat fell from Bruce's head. He hurriedly stretched out his hands and pushed in the air, signaling everyone to calm down. "He was brought back by me. Not an enemy," Bruce explained. After finishing speaking, he stretched out his hand and pushed Lin Feng again, motioning him to say a few words quickly. "Yes, I am not your enemy. My name is Lin Feng." Seeing this, Lin Feng was not surprised. He just stood up and said hello, and tried his best to put on a kind expression, expressing that he was harmless to humans and animals. Tony and others in this universe do not know themselves. Besides, his current body is indeed easy to misunderstand everyone. Seeing that Lin Feng didn't seem to be hostile, the tense atmosphere eased a little. Tony looked at Lin Feng speechlessly, then shifted his gaze to Bruce. "Banner, we agreed not to bring back local products." This made Lin Feng's mouth twitch. Even in a parallel world, Tony's mouth still stinks as always. And Bruce could only return an embarrassed smile, explaining, "It was the bald magician who asked me to bring him here." Time gem, in his hands. After speaking, Bruce also pointed to Lin Feng. Hearing this, several people raised their eyebrows and cast puzzled and questioning looks at Lin Feng. Lin Feng nodded and affirmed Bruce's words. "The Ancient One magician did lend me the infinite gems, and it was she who asked Bruce to take me to the present." "Okay." Tony rubbed his chin. "Lin Feng, right. Tell me, what is your purpose for coming here?" After clearing the misunderstanding, Tony still does not intend to let Lin Feng go. He knew about Ancient One, Strange's magic leader, or master. Those magicians have always been mysterious, and they don't know why she let Lin Feng travel to the future. Just as Lin Feng was about to explain, there was a sudden bang, interrupting the friendly communication of several people. Several people followed the prestige and found that Hawkeye was kneeling on the ground. This made several people a little confused for a while. But when they saw Hawkeye's expression clearly, their complexions gradually became serious. Hawkeye's eyes flickered at this moment, sadness and pain written all over his face. Steve looked at Hawkeye, frowning. Tony opened his mouth, as if he realized something. His eyes searched around Lin Tay for a week, and his face gradually sank. "There is one less person who came back. Hawkeye, without Natasha Romanoff." "Lin Tay, where is Natasha Romanoff?" Bruce asked in a low voice, with a lingering ominous feeling in his heart. Hawkeye knelt down and shook his head in pain. Grief made him speechless. Silence. Everyone fell silent, and an unspeakable grief spread in everyone's hearts. Hawkeye's behavior is telling everyone a fact. A fact that everyone does not want to believe, but has to face. Natasha Romanoff, something went wrong. The gazes of a few people also flickered. Although I have prepared for it, this trip through time and space cannot be smooth sailing. However, when this moment really comes, it is unacceptable. Sad emotions echoed in the hearts of several people. In the gazebo outside the base, Hawkeye narrates the sacrifice of Natasha Romanoff. The afternoon sun shone down, but it looked unusually cold. Bruce stood by the lake with his back to the crowd, unable to see his expression clearly. Steve sat there, quietly listening to Hawkeye. After a long while, tears fell uncontrollably, dripping on the face, the corners of the mouth, and finally fell to the ground. He couldn't remember the last time he cried, maybe when he missed a dance forever. Before departure, she still smiled and said to everyone, "See you in a minute." Natasha Romanoff has been with everyone for several years, and the relationship between them is like family. Yet this family, for the sake of infinite gems, to save half of the population that Thanos took away, sacrificed. For a while, everyone couldn't get out of this grief. Tony stepped forward and patted Steve on the shoulder. Although the relationship between him and Natasha Romanoff was not as deep as Steve's, they were both Avengers, and there were many reasons to gather them into a group. Over the past few years, Tony has already regarded everyone as his friends in his heart. His throat rolled up and down, and he said in a hoarse voice, "Does she have a family?" Steve nodded, but what he said made the hearts of several people even more sad. "It's just us." After the words fell, the solemnity in the air increased a bit. As if he couldn't bear the atmosphere, Thor, with a sloppy look, stepped forward and questioned Tony. "What do you mean? You said that. As if she is dead, why should she be dead?" Thor looked at the mourning crowd with mixed emotions. "We have infinite gems can bring her back, right? So can you stop talking nonsense? We are the Avengers, we have to cheer up. Listen to me, snap your fingers. Bring back Natasha Romanoff, along with the other half of the universe." Tony frowned, staring at him, speechless. Hawkeye shook his head. "She can't come back." His voice was equally hoarse. "It can't be reversed, it can't be done. He has more affection for Natasha Romanoff than anyone else, and Natasha Romanoff has long been his family. He will never forget in his life that Natasha Romanoff died in front of him." No one could feel how much he wished that he was the one who jumped off. Thor forced a laugh and couldn't help but retort, "I might be a little direct. You're just an earthling, we're talking cosmic magic. Cosmic magic, understand? It's too absolute to say it can't be done." Hawkeye looked at Thor complicatedly, and the emotions that he had tried to suppress rose again uncontrollably. "Yes, I know I may not have a say in the gem's ability. But she really can't come back. It's irreparable. At least that's what the floating red guy said." Hawkeye became more and more excited as he spoke, and his voice suddenly increased. "Maybe you can talk to him, grab your hammer. Fly over and talk to him." At his growl, Thor froze. He wasn't angry, just frowning and fell silent, a little depressed. Just when everyone was constantly dominated by sad emotions, Lin Feng, whom they had been ignoring all this time, suddenly spoke. "Perhaps, it's not impossible. Perhaps, it's not impossible." Lin Feng, who had been ignored by several people, stood up thoughtfully. As soon as the words were finished, several people turned their heads one after another, and their complicated eyes fell on Lin Feng. Bruce, who had been turning his back to the crowd, also turned around, looking at Lin Feng with a piercing gaze. "Lin Feng, tell me in detail." This is what Tony said. Big Bruce explained the origin of Lin Feng, the superhero of the parallel universe. At first they didn't believe it, until Lin Feng took out his mobile phone and called up a few photos with Tony and other evidence. The authenticity of the photo was proved by tests on Friday. Coupled with the mind gem and space gem from another universe in his hand, plus the time gem of the bald magician as an endorsement. Only then did everyone half believe and temporarily accept Lin Feng. Lin Feng slowly glanced at the dignified Avengers, and explained, "You know too little about how to use infinite gems. I have a plan that has a great success rate. But all of this needs to be tested to be sure." With that said, he turned his head to look at Hawkeye. "The guy you met on the Vomir Star Ball is called Red Skull, and he doesn't know much more about infinite gems than you do. There are so many ways to use infinite gems that I can't list them all here. All I can say is, instead of trusting someone bound by infinite gems, how about trusting me? Lin Feng's explanation was so reasonable that several people present subconsciously nodded. It is true that everyone's knowledge of infinite gems is limited to the surface, and the concept that he can take away ordinary creatures in the universe in an instant. As for Tony, who has studied Mind Gem, he is not much better than others, otherwise he would not have lost control and created Ultron. Lin Feng's words once again brought hope to Hawkeye, and also to several others. Hawkeye nodded with sobs, and said solemnly, "Okay. In order to save Natasha Romanoff, I will do whatever I want." Lin Feng also nodded silently. When he saw the sacrifice of the widow's sister in the movie theater, he couldn't let go of it for a long time. He remembered that the sacrifice of the widowed sister and Tony's snapping fingers were full of bugs, but that's how the movie was played, and he couldn't change it. Now that there was an opportunity in front of him, he had to try it no matter what. Taking off the emerald green time gem from the wristband, Lin Feng continued, "Let's forge the glove containing the gem first. Bringing Natasha Romanoff back requires the help of 6 infinite gems. You guys have to cheer up. Whether it's for Natasha Romanoff, or half the life Thanos took." Everyone nodded in agreement. Things turned around again, and the mood of the Avengers Alliance people eased up a lot. Although they had been in contact with Lin Feng for less than a day, they were still willing to place some hope on this superhero who brought Time Gem. After getting Lin Feng's Time Gem, everyone returned to the base one after another. Thor's right, they're the Avengers, and they need to cheer up. If they are also decadent, then who else can save this blue star? The biggest goal in front of him is to build the Infinity Gauntlet first and bring back half of the life that Thanos took away. Inside the base, Tony and Bruce are intensively building the nano version of the Infinity Gauntlet, taking every step carefully. Tony had a solemn face, and tested the integration of the gemstone without shaking his hands. It was also the first time for him to do this kind of thing. Last time he messed up in Ultron, this time he was full of energy. After all, if he was not careful, Lanxing might be blown up by him. Lin Feng was sitting on the side resting board, the wound on his body burned by the energy had completely healed. It's just that the system isn't there, so I can't spend reputation points to repair the battle suit, so I can only wear it temporarily. Hawkeye glanced at Lin Feng from time to time, but didn't speak. At first Lin Feng didn't care, but as the number of times increased, Lin Feng couldn't resist those little eyes full of hope and anxiety. The corner of his mouth twitched, and he turned sideways to watch Tony play with the infinite gems, trying not to meet Hawkeye's eyes. At the moment Tony was manipulating the mechanical arm, slowly installing the infinite gems towards a pair of golden-red mechanical gloves. It seems that he is not sure whether the glove he made can carry the energy of 6 infinite gems, and Tony looks a little nervous. In fact, Lin Feng's wristband can be loaded with 6 infinite gems, and he can also snap his fingers. But after all, in this universe, Lin Feng is an outsider, and Tony and others did not fully trust Lin Feng. So Lin Feng didn't mention the wristband at all. Anyway, he already knew the ending, and the gloves made by Tony are not a problem. Just when Lin Feng was excited to watch Tony's performance. Ding! Start a new task. Mission objective. Deal with the Thanos army coming across, kill at least 1 exile. Mission reward 130 million reputation points. Task reward 2, depends on the evaluation of the host to complete the task. A task reminder suddenly sounded from Lin Feng's ear, and then, the long-lost voice from the system came. "Yo, dog host, here I come," came a skinny and cheap voice. Hearing the familiar tone, a gleam flashed in Lin Feng's eyes, and his heart beat faster. Dog system. Lin Feng's tone was a little excited, and he felt that the system's cheap voice was unprecedentedly kind. "Tell me, do you miss me?" The system put his hands on his hips. Although there was no entity, Lin Feng felt that the system was presenting an arrogant pose. "Hee, without you for the past few days, the roots of my ears are very clean." Lin Feng laughed, and his mouth was stubborn. The system's voice became even softer. "You just say what you mean. A straight man who needs the help of the system after chasing a woman." Lin Feng had black lines and question marks on his face. "Why did you mention this? Who hasn't had a first time?" Seeing this, the system laughed out loud, and said, okay, I won't tease you anymore. This system has been exhausted these days. After finishing speaking, Lin Feng seemed to hear the system let out a long sigh, guessing that the system has not been doing well these days. He couldn't help laughing, and started to tease. What, I haven't seen you for a few days, so why? Come on, tell me, what have you been doing these days? I'm very curious. Lin Feng has 180 questions in his mind to ask the system, and he will first ask the dog system what it has done in the past 2 days. Hearing Lin Feng's inquiry, the system's voice became a little annoyed. Hey, stop talking, you've been by 2 pussies. 2 punks. Lin Feng expressed doubts. Do you remember the exile from last time? Lin Feng nodded. That guy in black robe from the 600th world. What's wrong? Is it his fault? Not only that, he also found the exile from the Marvel Universe as a helper. The system continued. 2 shameless guys, they don't talk about martial arts and engage in sneak attacks, the purpose is the Superman template you just redeemed. And this system. Speaking of this, the system voice became even more angry. These 2 still want to tamper with my database and drag me into their camp. It's wishful thinking. A bunch of crooks with unrighteous views, I don't bother to be with them. Hearing this, Lin Feng felt a little palpitation in his heart. Okay, don't be angry, didn't they fail? Lin Feng comforted. Now that the system is safely back, it proves that the exile's plan to tamper with the system was unsuccessful. After reassuring the system, Lin Feng then asked, then where's my silver Superman template? They won't snatch it, right? The system waved his hand. That's impossible, they didn't get any benefit from me, host, don't worry. Seeing Lin Feng's worry, the system continued to explain. After the exile appeared, I put the silver Superman template into a square device and sent him to a certain place in the universe. Well, our universe, you know. When you return to our universe, you can continue to evolve. But before that, you need to complete the mission just announced. After the system explained, Lin Feng felt relieved, as long as he wasn't snatched away. How to put it, Lin Feng did it bit by bit. I don't know how many times he saved the accumulated reputation points from disasters. Now it's all right, the system is back, and everything seems to be back on track. As for the task, Lin Feng pulled out the panel again and checked it. I saw the mission this time, and the exile will also appear, right? The answer given by the system is in the affirmative. This time they plan to help Thanos, and take away all life in the universe with a snap of their fingers. Can't let them get the Infinity Gauntlet. Without the Infinity Gauntlet, there's nothing they can do. Hearing this, Lin Feng smiled nonchalantly. It shouldn't be a big problem, since I'm here, they won't be able to get the gloves. At that time, I will snap my fingers with gloves on and send them away neatly. Let you vent your anger. The system shook his head. The host, you think too much, the snapping of infinite gems is useless to them. Lin Feng raised his eyebrows. How to say? They are the same as the host you, they are also the traversers outside the 4th wall, and they are unique. The snapping of Infinity Gauntlet's fingers is ineffective for you and them. You can knock them down with infinite gems, but infinite gems can't erase them. Unless it is a physical kill. As if afraid that Lin Feng would not understand, the system added, in other words, you can use the Infinity Gauntlet to control a boulder and smash them to death. You can also use the energy of infinite gems to burn their heads. However, you can't directly take their lives with gloves. Lin Feng nodded thoughtfully. That means I can kill them, but I can't snap them away, right? Yes, that's the truth. Lin Feng smiled without the slightest fear. That's okay, let's see whose fist is harder. Guys! Tony yelled suddenly, drawing everyone's attention. Seeing everyone looking at him, Tony nodded solemnly. Everyone's heart moved, and they all gathered around. Lin Feng also stood up and walked over. Tony pointed to the table. I built it. Looking around, Rocket Raccoon was fiddling with a golden red mechanical glove under the mechanical arm. On the glove, 6 infinite gems lay quietly on it. Rocket was doing the final inspection procedure, and said without raising his head, the glove is finished. The question is who's going to do that snap? Everyone was stunned, and Thanos snapped his fingers twice, and everyone present has seen the tragedy. The Titan's body, which was as strong as Thanos, barely snapped his fingers, and then fell into a weak state. The bodies of the Titans were all seriously injured. Let alone ordinary people. I come. The plump Thor suddenly stepped forward, reaching for the glove. Whoa! Captain America and Tony stopped Thor at the same time. Now Thor's stomach and head are full of beer, and the success rate of snapping his fingers is too low in his current state. Look at what's flowing in his veins now, it's probably cheese sauce. The opportunity was too great for Thor to risk. We haven't decided yet who will snap the fingers, explained Captain America. What, are you just standing here and watching? Thor panted heavily, dissatisfied with how many people blocked him. Sitting here won't bring everyone back. I am the strongest Avenger, let me come. Several people tried to dissuade again, insisting that Thor not snap his fingers. This made Thor so anxious that he almost cried. Poor Thor, blamed himself for not stopping Thanos. He woke up in a dream countless times. If his head had been chopped off that time, the ending would have been completely different. God knows how much he looks forward to such an opportunity. Now his teammates are stopping him, though Thor knows they're doing it for his own good. But Thor really needs this opportunity. Lin Feng stood aside and watched this scene. Seeing how many people were arguing endlessly, Lin Feng couldn't help but said, "Why don't I come?" As soon as the words fell, everyone looked over in unison, with a hint of vigilance hidden in their eyes. "No." Captain America spoke. "Lin Feng, you don't belong to our universe, you shouldn't bear this responsibility. Besides, we don't know if you, who come from a parallel universe, will have other effects by snapping your fingers." Captain America's righteous words are hard to refute. Lin Feng shrugged indifferently and stopped talking. He knew that no one would agree to snap his fingers. Captain America sounds good on the surface, but the main reason is to guard against Lin Feng. After all, they don't know much about Lin Feng. If Lin Feng snaps his fingers and takes away the life in the other half of the universe, wouldn't it be the end of the game? After some disputes, Bruce, who was still green-headed and green-brained, stood up. Hulk is a product born under gamma rays, and what Infinite Gems mainly releases is also gamma rays. He felt that his birth seemed to be for this moment of snapping his fingers. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, Bruce picked up the glove containing the 6 gems. Friday, start the defense project. With Tony's order, the entire base immediately heard the sound of machines operating. In a short while, the base turned into a steel fortress. The hut where several people lived has also become a completely enclosed space. Everyone's expressions were dignified, and they made defensive postures one after another. After all, they didn't know what the consequences of snapping their fingers would be. Seeing that everyone was getting ready, Bruce stopped hesitation and put on the gloves slowly. The moment the gloves fit together, the 6 infinite gems made a buzzing sound. The colorful energy bounced back and forth on the surface of the glove, and then crawled along Bruce's veins towards the heart. Under the ravages of energy, Bruce's arm gradually became crumbled, and the surface layer of skin lost its vitality like charcoal that had been scorched. Huge amounts of pain hit, Bruce endured with difficulty, he knelt on the ground and yelled in pain. Everyone watched this scene in horror, and once again saw the horror of 6 infinite gems gathering. Suppressing the pain of restless energy, Bruce struggled to stand up. It was a chance that all gave, and Natasha Romanoff gave her life for one of these gems. He will never waste this opportunity. The veins on his forehead kept popping up, and his strong willpower always had the upper hand. Bruce's fingers moved together with difficulty, and he muttered in his heart, "Everyone come back." Snapped. With a crisp sound, he snapped his fingers. In an instant, with Bruce as the center, a shock ripple with indescribable power quickly spread out. It rushed out of the blue star and spread to the whole universe, with an inaudible echo. After snapping his fingers, Bruce lost his strength instantly, his huge body fell backwards, and was caught by Steve. The Infinity Gauntlet slid from his arm and fell to the ground, emitting puffs of blue smoke. No one cared what happened to the gloves, they all stepped forward to check on Bruce's injuries. Bruce's left arm at the moment was like charcoal, horrible to look at. "Don't touch him," Tony yelled, leaned over, and the battle suit in his hand kept spraying out coolant. Judging from the situation, it is estimated that Bruce's left arm will be bandaged for a while. Before he had time to check his injuries, Bruce panted heavily and asked weakly to everyone, "Did I succeed? Did I succeed?" Everyone looked at each other, not knowing how to answer for a while. Someone's phone on the table suddenly vibrated at this moment. It belonged to Hawkeye. His heart moved, and under the gaze of everyone, he walked over slowly. The incoming call information on the screen instantly made Hawkeye cry. "That hasn't been called in 5 years, Laura." Hawkeye picked up the phone tremblingly, and the voice he had missed for 5 years came from the receiver. "Honey." Hawkeye's voice was a little choked, his throat seemed to be choked, and he couldn't speak. Looking at the chirping birds outside the window, a mysterious feeling rose from everyone's hearts. Bruce's finger snapping should have taken effect. Steve patted Bruce's other, uninjured arm, and breathed a sigh of relief. It looks like it was successful. Tony also sat on the ground and wiped the sweat from his brow, as if he had experienced a big battle. Their hard work paid off. He could see that talkative Spider Kid again. At this moment, everyone's hearts surprisingly calmed down, and a faint joy arose spontaneously. However, everyone didn't know that this journey through time and space, the real disaster, had only just begun. Lin Feng stood up, he squinted his eyes and looked out the window, interrupting everyone's joy. "Everyone, trouble is coming." The few people who hadn't slowed down were startled, and followed Lin Feng's gaze suspiciously. Immediately afterwards, the pupils shrank, and the alarm bells rang in their hearts. Outside the window, huge amounts of spaceships were hovering above the base, and several missiles with red trails followed one after another. The huge amounts of explosion occurred in mid-air less than 10 meters away from the base. The flames shot up into the sky, but unexpectedly the base did not suffer any damage. The missiles appear to be stopped by huge amounts of transparent shields. Lin Feng raised his left hand. 2 rough stones, one yellow and one blue, shone brightly on the wristband, and the biological force field blessed by the gems enveloped the entire Avengers base. The missile exploded like a firework, but it did not pose a threat to everyone. Although they were not hit, everyone was not happy at the moment. Captain America held the shield and frowned. "What's going on here?" The expression under Tony's mask was serious, and he said in a deep voice, "If you play with time, time will play with you." Several people stared out the window thoughtfully. The firework-like explosion flames dissipated in midair, revealing the huge spaceship behind it again. Lin Feng withdrew the energy and removed the biological force field. With his protection, the Avengers base did not fall into ruins like the original. "Let's go, everyone, a job is coming." After Lin Feng left a sentence, he walked out of the base first and came under the spaceship. Everyone looked at each other without speaking. They just held their weapons tightly, followed Lin Feng out of the base, and stared at the spaceship with serious expressions. The spaceship was suspended in midair, and no missiles were launched again, but a beam of light suddenly appeared at the bottom of the spaceship and shot towards the ground. A figure followed the light beam to the ground. After the light beam dissipated, a big purple head that surprised everyone but seemed reasonable appeared in everyone's field of vision. Thanos, a titan who snapped his fingers and took half the life of the universe. However, unlike everyone's memory, Thanos in front of him was wearing a helmet, wearing a golden armor, and holding a huge amounts of double-edged knife, which was more oppressive than what everyone saw 5 years ago. What's the situation? Seeing the old enemy whose head had been cut off in the past reappeared in front of his eyes, everyone was a little dazed. It's Thanos from another timeline. Lin Feng said slowly. Tony is right, if you play with time, time will play with you. Hearing this, the faces of several people became even more ugly. Steve looked solemn, and raised the shield in his hand. We can't let him get infinite gems anymore. Tony frowned, his visor snapped shut, and he never took his eyes off Thanos. Thor roared, and a dark cloud quickly gathered above his head, flickering non-stop. A bolt of thunder struck from the sky, Thor's eyes glowed with white lightning and he opened his arms. With one hammer and one axe, he came through the air and fell into Thor's hands. The lightning dissipated, and he had put on a suit of armor. It's just chopping off the head again, this time I still won't chop off the wrong side. Several people stared at Thanos, and slowly opened a distance, forming a battle line in front of the base, waiting for Thanos' move. However, Thanos doesn't seem to have any intention of going to war right away. He stuck a big knife on the ground, and glanced at everyone leisurely, his gaze stayed on Lin Feng for a second longer. It seems that you are not willing to accept failure, what do you think when you see me again? I thought that if half of the existence in the universe is wiped out, the other half will be able to live prosperously. But you proved to me. That's impossible. Thanos stroked his big shiny head, looking at the people in front of him as small as ants. However, it is this tiny ant who is ungrateful and only knows how to recall the past. Don't give up after you succeed. Like two of my friends said, as long as someone misses the past, they won't accept the future. I will resist. Two friends. Tony's words were full of sarcasm. Is there anyone else who thinks the same as you? Thanos stared at Tony Stark coldly, and the space behind him flowed like black water streaks. Two figures hidden under the black robe slowly appeared. Exile. I don't know when it got mixed up with Thanos. As soon as the two black shadows appeared, the system immediately jumped out and shouted wildly. Host, it's them. It's these two little fools. Go. Kill them. Oh. Lin Feng narrowed his eyes and backed away slowly. Okay. Wait for me to save a lot. Staring closely at the two black-robed exiles, Lin Feng quietly hid his left hand behind his back. The two gemstones shimmered, and huge energy began to pour into Lin Feng's body. He moved quietly behind Steve so that Thanos and the others could not see his eye sockets that were beginning to glow. You will never understand the greatness of my purpose. Thanos drew his double-edged sword and made his final declaration. I am very grateful to you for helping me find all the rough stones. I will use them to erase the entire universe. Then, create a brand new universe. No memories, no complaints, only understanding, a grateful universe. After the words fell, Thanos picked up the big knife and put on a fighting posture. Steve raised the shield and sneered, a new universe full of blood and debts. As soon as the words fell, there was a sound of rubbing. The orange-red light instantly hit the black-robed exile from behind Steve. Lin Feng popped out with bright eyes, sneak attack. He will too. A heat ray is fired, announcing the beginning of the war. The exile seemed to have been prepared for a long time, and the moment Lin Feng jumped out, he waved his hands. A black disc-shaped shield blocked in front of the two of them, and heat ray hit the two of them and retreated constantly. The two looked at each other, and one of the exiles stepped forward, took out a black gold sword from behind, and slashed at Lin Feng. The heat ray disconnected, Lin Feng turned sideways to avoid the slash, and took advantage of the opportunity to blast out a powerful and heavy punch. Boom! The exile was punched by Lin Feng and fell to the ground. Like a normal person, he stood up and patted the dust, seemingly unharmed. Seeing that he missed a hit, another exile rushed to Lin Feng as if teleporting, imitating Lin Feng, and punched out. Boom! Another sound came, this time it was Lin Feng who flew out. Lin Feng got up and touched his forearm in surprise. This punch actually made him feel pain. Violent fist winds blew off the exile's hood. A green ugly face was revealed. It is covered with red veins. Showing his true face, the black robe didn't care, and simply tore off the black robe on his body. Under the black robe, there was actually a tattered blue-red Superman battle suit. Seeing this, Lin Feng's pupils shrank, this image. Doomsday. As if confirming his guess, the exile also shot a heat ray at Lin Feng. Lin Feng didn't have time to think, and also threw out a heat ray. The two heat rays meet in the air and wrestle with each other. To bow, I won't lose. Lin Feng roared, Superman's wristbands lit up, and infinite gems sent energy again. The red heat ray instantly turned orange-red, and the crushing destruction day retreated steadily. Sneak attack. The exile with the knife swung his knife forward again and stabbed Lin Feng in the eye. There was a black light shining on the blade, and Lin Feng smelled danger, so he couldn't force it. Nima. Lin Feng cursed angrily, dodged the sword light and flew into the air, and then heat ray attacked the two exiles like they didn't want money. The two exiles jumped up, followed Lin Feng into the air, and launched a series of attacks on Lin Feng with tacit understanding. For a moment, lasers flew all over the sky, sword lights splashed everywhere, and the three of them fought together. On the ground, everyone in the Avengers Alliance also fought fiercely with Thanos. Thor, give me a shot. Tony grabbed Thanos' gap, rolled over and backed away, and the nano-focus device unfolded behind him. Thor knew it in his heart, and with a loud cry, his eyes were filled with lightning, and the hammer and axe in his hands collided together. The thunderbolt as thick as a bucket blasted towards the energy-gathering device. The laser weapon of the nano-battle suit burst into light, and the high-energy laser hit Thanos away. Thanos roared, and the double-edged sword spun rapidly, blocking the oncoming laser light in front of him. He kept advancing against the laser, grabbed Tony Stark, and the laser stopped suddenly. Seeing that the situation was not good, Thor threw it with a hammer, and with one full round of the tomahawk, Mjolnir shot out like a cannonball. Thanos swung Tony in his hand to his chest, acting as a humanoid shield. Boom! Mjolnir directly threw Tony into the air and hit a piece of gravel. Tony struggled twice before passing out. Thanos picked up the sword and swung it at Thor. Thor slid sideways to dodge, and took advantage of the opportunity to swing the axe and hit Thanos' head with a slash. However, the long-term indulgence in life has made Thor's battery life and burst ability far worse than before. Facing Thanos, who was at the peak of his combat power, he had almost no power to fight back. The storm axe was shot flying in a moment, and he himself was knocked to the ground by Thanos in 2 or 3 hits. Thanos punched 2 old punches, and Thor was suddenly confused when he punched. He reached out to summon the storm axe, but Thanos snatched it away and slashed at Thor's chest. Thor woke up instantly, stretched out his hand to grab the attacking tomahawk, grinned, and pushed it out with all his strength. It's just that the current him, in terms of strength, is no match for Thanos. The sharp axe sliced through Thor's armor like tofu. Seeing that Thor was about to be disemboweled by Thanos, a silver light flew out suddenly, knocked Thanos staggered, and saved Thor. After rescuing Thor, the silver object flew into Steve's hand with the sound of howling wind. Mjolnir. Thor stared blankly at Captain America holding the hammer, then laughed out of breath. I knew it. Back in the Stark building, Steve gave Mjolnir a shake. At that time, he already suspected that Steve could really lift Mjolnir, but he was afraid of ruining his face, so he pretended not to be able to lift it. At that time, his face was extremely ugly, but today, Steve raised Mjolnir, which made Thor happy inside. With a gloomy face, Thanos kicked the laughing Thor away, picked up the double-edged sword, and rushed towards Steve. In the sky, Lin Feng is flying the 2 exiles like a kite. Doomsday's heat ray interrupted Lin Feng's flight route from time to time. There was obviously a problem with the light on the black-robed exile's blade, and Lin Feng didn't dare to pick it up. After dodging a knife again, Lin Feng fired a heat ray to force Doomsday back. Frequent heat rays made his eye sockets a little red and swollen. Lin Feng aimed at the gap, and punched the exile with a sound barrier. The exile slashed his knife to his chest, and forcibly received a terrifying punch. The sword god whimpered and trembled unceasingly, and the exile's figure retreated violently. For a while, the 3 of them beat you back and forth, very enthusiastic. The battle strength of the 2 exiles exceeded Lin Feng's expectations. Back and forth, Lin Feng was dragged in the air in a tacit cooperation. They didn't seem to intend to share life and death with Lin Feng, but instead seemed to be delaying time. Host, speed up. The system's voice came. They wanted Thanos to snap that finger. Carol has long been trapped in the universe by them and cannot participate in this war. According to the current development trend, the Avengers are not enough to beat Thanos. After a pause, the system decided to help Lin Feng find out. I'll help you guard against their tricks, host, hurry up. Hearing this, Lin Feng's figure flashed again, and he approached the 2 exiles. From the corner of his eye, he observed the battle situation on the ground from time to time. On the ground, after performing a small combo, Steve was almost beaten to death by Thanos. Although he has been injected with super serum, he is still at the limit of human physique. The shield made of vibranium was chopped into several sections by Thanos' big knife. With the last slash, Steve was slapped hard on the ground. He was ashamed, with blood dripping from the corner of his mouth, and he didn't get up for a long time. Thanos didn't make up the knife at this moment. He looked at the 3 people fighting evenly in the sky with some melancholy, and then looked back. The people of Avengers were lying on the ground or lying on their stomachs. I have conquered for so many years, and I have never mixed a trace of personal emotion. Your obstinacy is disgusting. There was no fluctuation in Thanos' words, it was extremely cold. Now I want to let you know how I will treat your ants-like planet. I will enjoy the process. As Thanos' voice fell, huge amounts of blue light curtains fell from the sky. Afterwards, the conical spaceships followed and fell to the ground. The hatch of the conical spaceship opened, huge shadows all stepped out, and countless beast roars came. Huge amounts of Leviathan giants reappear on the battlefield, giant beasts with restraining devices, and alien soldiers with high-tech weapons. Under Thanos' command, countless captive monsters gushed out like a tide, densely packed, bringing a breath of despair. His loyal dogs, Ebony Maw, Proxima Midnight, Corvus Glaive, etc., also stepped out of the light curtain. The army of Thanos is assembled on Blue Star. At this moment, Blue Star encountered an unprecedented disaster for the second time. At this moment, the Avengers were alone and helpless facing thousands of enemies. At this moment, Steve gasped and prepared to give his life. Just when Steve thought Blue Star had run out of fuel, a familiar yet unfamiliar voice suddenly rang out from beside my ears. Captain, can you hear me? Captain, I'm Sam. On your left. Steve turned his head with difficulty. Thin golden lines carved a circle in the air. It is space magic from Kamar Taj. Immediately afterwards, a portal appeared, and Falcon flew out from behind it. The second, third, and fourth, countless portals opened in the sky or on the ground at the same time. They connect all parts of the world, even the depths of the universe. Black Panther came out from behind the portal. He led countless warriors who feared life and death, shouting the slogan of victory through the sky. A Valkyrie on a white Pegasus, followed by the mighty Asgard army. Ant-Man, who stayed at the Avengers base, turned into a titan tens of meters high, stepped out, and the earth trembled. Bruce, who had calmed down a little, was roaring angrily at the moment, as if the irritable Green Titan had returned. Doctor Strange, Star-Lord, Little Spider-Man, Bucky, Groot, Wanda, and even the magician from Kamar Taj joined the battle. A light gradually appeared in Steve's eyes. It is the ray of hope. The guard force belonging to Blue Star appeared at this moment. At Blue Star's most critical moment, they stood up and gathered an unprecedentedly strong fighting force. The snapping of their fingers 5 years ago took them away, and 5 years later, they have a precious opportunity to fight back. They are assembled at this moment, carrying the last hope of mankind to go to war. Tony, Thor, who woke up, gathered around Steve. Steve suppressed the excitement in his heart. He took a deep breath, stretched out his right hand, and shouted loudly, "Avengers!" Mjolnir returned to his right hand with a whoosh. He looked directly at Thanos, and his voice became low and powerful, "Assemble!" Roar! Countless Blue Star Coalition forces launched a charge. Rushing to the battlefield, pointing at Thanos' army. Under their feet, the ground trembled, the air was turbid, and morale was overwhelming. What they bear at this moment is not only the fate of the Blue Star, but also the fate of mankind. It is all the creatures in the universe who disappeared under that snap of fingers. Morale is unprecedentedly high, and the final battle begins at this moment. The army of Thanos also rushed into the battlefield with an order, but how could they resist the angry Avengers? When a soldier falls, one stands up to make up for it. The Avengers have put life and death at stake. The only thought in their hearts is to kill these hateful alien monsters. The shouts went straight into the sky, the monsters screamed, and the humans roared angrily. Guns fired. Gold and iron intertwined. A roar and a howl resounded throughout the battlefield. The flames of war spread over this land, and the sky and the earth changed color. There is gunpowder everywhere, fighting, defending and perishing. Thanos' face turned a little ugly. During his combat career, the Blue Star was the biggest obstacle for him to accomplish his goals. His purple head couldn't figure out why the Earth had such a powerful counterattack force. But don't wait for him to figure it out. Scarlet Witch Wanda, with red eyes, descended from the sky. The eyes she looked at Thanos were full of hatred, new hatred and old hatred, and the origin magic power surrounding her was full of red light. "You took everything from me." Thanos frowned, puzzled but determined. "I don't even know you." Wanda was even more indignant, and shouted, "You will know." As soon as the words fell, origin magic power burst out instantly. The scarlet energy rolled up the rubble of the battlefield and the old walls, and struck towards Thanos. Thanos swung the big knife in his hand to block the wave of attacks, and took advantage of the opportunity to slash at Wanda. Wanda didn't dodge either. The scarlet energy wrapped the big knife. Wanda tore it with both hands, and the big knife, which was stronger than vibranium, was torn into countless pieces and fell to the ground. Under Thanos' surprised eyes, Wanda jumped up, and the scarlet energy wrapped him up and rolled him into the air. Wanda shot with hatred, and origin magic power agitatedly removed pieces of golden armor one after another. Without the protection of his armor, Thanos' body was exposed to magic. He felt a powerful force pulling his body, and at this moment, the souls of the dead came out. Enduring the great pain from his body, Thanos couldn't help but let out a painful roar. Ebony Maw. Salvo fire. Ebony Maw froze for a moment, and immediately carried out Thanos' order. Thanos' car suspended above the sky, holy place number 2, all weapon windows are on standby. The next moment, shells covering the sky and the sun were fired, mercilessly hitting the ground. The artillery shells did not distinguish between enemy and friend, and formed a dense barrage, bombarding the Avengers and invaders. Cannon fire baptism. The roar of the explosion was mixed with wailing and despair, and the number of armies on both sides was constantly decreasing. Immediately afterwards, the second round and the third round of shells began to wash the ground without stopping like a rain curtain. The earth-shattering explosion resounded through the sky, which immediately attracted Lin Feng's attention. He followed the reputation and saw Thanos' holy place number 2, which was constantly firing shells and washing the ground with artillery fire. The insane Thanos doesn't care about the life and death of the Leviathan giants. In his eyes, they are all cannon fodder. In order to accomplish his goal, he will sacrifice everything. Gamora is the best proof. Otherwise Thanos wouldn't have shed a tear for her. Cannon fire washes the ground, the Avengers hide everywhere, and casualties continue to appear. Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat, he turned around and flew towards holy place number 2. His goal is very clear, let's scrap this big guy first. However, the two exiles did not intend to let Lin Feng go. With a dodge, the exile stood in front of him, one left and one right. Where do you want to go? It was the first time since the battle that the exile spoke. His voice was like rubbing sandpaper, and Lin Feng felt it piercing his ears. Get out. Lin Feng didn't have time to talk nonsense with him, his eyes were red, heat ray shot out, but was dodged by the exile with a teleportation. The black gold broadsword struck again, Lin Feng bent down to dodge, and took advantage of the opportunity to strike again. However, the exile's speed was not much slower than Lin Feng's, and the exile with the knife retreated immediately regardless of whether he hit it or not. Immediately afterwards, Doomsday rushed behind Lin Feng and kicked him out. As soon as Lin Feng turned around, Doomsday retreated, and the exile with a knife behind him stepped forward again. The two exiles were like slippery loaches, Lin Feng fought against one of them, and the other constantly harassed them. The two of them didn't work hard, so they just flew the kite and dragged Lin Feng to nowhere. Gradually, anger ignited in Lin Feng's heart. Carol was trapped in outer space by the exile's insidious tricks, and he couldn't fly back to support like the original book. He didn't have much time to fly a kite with the exile. If it goes on like this, Thanos will snap his fingers. With a thought, Lin Feng decisively turned on the special red kryptonite. For the current Lin Feng, this prestige is nothing, just by a few more later. A red light flashed past, and Lin Feng's physical fitness directly improved by a level. For him now, the upper limit of energy he can bear has doubled. Lin Feng's figures flashed one after another, more than twice as fast as before. The ever-retreating Doomsday's pupils shrank, and Lin Feng's sudden surge exceeded his reaction. A fist kept expanding in his pupil. Boom! With one punch, Doomsday's chest was directly dented. Doomsday's eyes were full of disbelief, he spurted out a mouthful of black blood, and flew out of sight directly under this punch. He didn't even have time to play his whole cards. He didn't understand how Lin Feng, who was as strong as himself, became so powerful in an instant. The exile with the knife paused, stopped in midair, and then quickly retreated. It seemed that he was frightened by Lin Feng's punch. Lin Feng doesn't have time to take care of him now. If Thanos goes on like this, the Avengers will be disbanded. He quickly flew to the ground, and when he looked up, he saw the heat ray blessed by infinite gems. Not enough time. Lin Feng did not accumulate too much energy, but even so, the power is still not to be underestimated. The orange-red laser pierced through holy place number 2 in an instant, and Lin Feng moved his gaze lightly, plowing holy place number 2 in half like cutting paper. The holy place number 2, which has fought with Thanos for most of his life, was broken into 2 pieces like this, and the fracture was still constantly exploding one after another. The rain of cannonballs stopped instantly. 2 spaceships fell from the sky with billowing black smoke and humming sound. Boom! There was a loud noise, and everyone looked up, but the shells covering the sky and the sun were no longer there. They only saw the black smoke billowing in the holy place number 2, which broke into 2 pieces and smashed into the lake, splashing monstrous waves. Good guy, Steve gasped, watching the whole thing. He looked at Lin Feng with incredible eyes. What the hell is that? Both eyes can emit lasers. Tony also exclaimed. The data in the visor showed that the value of the laser just now exceeded the measurement limit on Friday. More than half of the Avengers saw Lin Feng's laser. They didn't know that there was such a powerful existence among the allies. Rocket the Raccoon clung to Groot, eyes wide. Good guy, I still want to steal his wristband. Fortunately, I didn't do it. People. Having dealt with holy place number 2, Lin Feng quickly turned around, ready to deal with the 2 exiles. Looking around, he only saw Doomsday lying on the ground 1,000 meters away. But he couldn't see the exile holding the black gold sword. Host, that exile has escaped. What? Lin Feng dug his ears. Run away. Really or not? The exile is so cowardly. Lin Feng was surprised and puzzled. This plot is completely wrong. Shouldn't the villain be so tyrannical that he would rather die than submit, and even give the protagonist a curse to fight back or something? And generally speaking, shouldn't villains have a few big cards? Why did you just run away with one? Just come to harass yourself and run away. The face of the villain has been completely thrown away by these 2 bums. Soon, the system gave the answer. They tried to tamper with my database earlier, triggering my automatic defense mechanism. My defense mechanism is not vegetarian. In order to escape, the 2 of them used their whole cards as early as that time. Even so, these 2 fools have received serious injuries. Otherwise, these 2 fools wouldn't be as simple as losing their strength today. Lin Feng nodded and realized something. Then why didn't you just kill them? Why give them a chance to jump out? The system suddenly hesitated. Isn't this just for you to practice your hands? Then I really thank you. Lin Feng laughed, and the system seemed hesitant to speak, obviously concealing some information. But now Lin Feng is not in a hurry to expose him, and everything will be discussed after the war. Lin Feng flew in the direction of Doomsday. It turned out that the 2 exiles were not weak, but that they had already been severely beaten by the system. After fighting for a while, the 2 bums didn't even break through Lin Feng's defense. If Lin Feng at the moment is the Silver Superman template, it is estimated that neither of the 2 exiles can withstand a punch from him. If exiles were like this, even in their heyday, Lin Feng could punch a child with 1 punch. As if sensing Lin Feng's state of mind, the system jumped out, revealing some information mercilessly. Host, don't be careless. The strength of the exile is divided into several sequences, and these 2 are just the bottom ones. The real first-order exile, the strength is comparable to the multi-universe level. The reason why the exiles were solved so easily this time has a lot to do with their decline in strength and the exhaustion of their cards. Otherwise, why do you think you only harassed you today, but didn't make a killing move? Hearing this, Lin Feng was startled, and Flight's body was also shocked. Multi-universe level. A few simple words, behind them represent huge amounts of power. As far as he knows, Silver Superman belongs to the level single universe category. With the Silver Superman template, he can completely wrestle with any single universe powerhouse. But this strength, in front of the multi-universe level, is as fragile as an ant. Then if the first sequence comes over, wouldn't I have the essentials? Lin Feng frowned, but his heart sank involuntarily. The exile is far more troublesome and complicated than he imagined. The exile who fought with him turned out to be just a young man in the group, which made Lin Feng feel depressed. That's not true. Before the host grows up, the first sequence will not notice you. How can you kill a chicken with a butcher's knife? Do you understand this principle? At least you have to reach the Golden Superman before you will be included in the list by the first sequence. The system made a metaphor, and the words are not rough. The black line on Lin Feng's face, I'm a chicken. It's just an analogy. The host still has a long way to go. But the host doesn't have to worry. There will be opportunities suitable for you in this mission reward. Grab the opportunity and grow up as soon as possible. In terms of the system, Lin Feng vaguely felt that he was involved in huge amounts of trouble. It seems that a huge monster has lifted a corner of the veil. It seems that after this battle is over, I really need to have a good chat with the system. About why he crossed from outside the fourth wall, and what information the system is hiding. Beyond the blue star, the exile with the knife seems to be floating silently in space, watching the battlefield of the final battle. After a long time, he covered his chest with his hands and coughed twice. That system left him with an injury that hasn't fully healed yet. He opened the newsletter, edited a message and sent it out. Lin Feng flew to the place where Doomsday fell, and Doomsday had already exhausted more air and less intake. He panted violently, and looked at Lin Feng with sinister eyes. Lin Feng shook his head and laughed, took out a pendant-like object from his body, and then threw it forcefully into the sky. The infinite gems version of Heat Ray went out. He didn't intend to ask him to leave any last words or anything, the system had already told Lin Feng the exile's background. As for the pendant-like item, it was also found under the guidance of the system. It is a space prop used by the exile to store items. Lin Feng put it away, ready to see if there was anything good after the battle. After holding on for a few seconds under the heat ray, Doomsday's body became disintegrated, leaving no trace. Too weak. The dog shook his head when he saw it. Lin Feng felt that he only had the appearance of Doomsday, physical fitness, the characteristics of being immune to the last death damage after resurrection, etc., all of which were not reflected in him. He shouldn't be called Doomsday, he should be called Fake Superman. Weak, very dramatic. Lin Feng didn't even need to use kryptonite to kill him. But this also explains why he wants to snatch his Silver Superman template. It is estimated that one of them is to make himself truly become a Doomsday. On the battlefield, the Avengers base was still unable to keep with the bombardment attack. In the flames soaring into the sky, it turned into ruins. Nebula from 2014 walked up to Thanos from the ruins holding a pair of gloves. "Father, I bring you infinite gems." Nebula respectfully held up the Infinity Gauntlet, which she cheated from Hawkeye while taking advantage of the chaos. Thanos took the gloves somewhat unexpectedly, and nodded in satisfaction. "Good job." One sentence directly made Xingyan's entire body tremble with excitement. In her memory, this was almost the first time Thanos praised her. She now feels that she has surpassed Gamora and successfully proved her worth to her father. Xingyan was happy, but everyone in the Avengers thumped in their hearts, and their faces sank uncontrollably. Nebula betrayed. Before they could think about it, another Nebula also came out from the ruins, followed by Hawkeye and Gamora with gloomy faces. Two nebulae. Everyone turned their eyes, and some understood what was going on. "Shit," Tony cursed. Steve even whispered to himself, "If you play with time, time will play with you." This nebula, which followed Thanos from time travel in the past. But now there is no time to take care of these things. Seeing Thanos get the Infinity Gauntlet, the situation suddenly becomes extremely dangerous. Don't let him snap his fingers. With a roar, Steve kicked his feet hard and rushed towards Thanos first. It was hard to bring the other half of life back, and Thanos could not repeat the tragedy of 5 years ago. Everyone understood this truth, attacking Thanos one by one. Tony's feet were on fire, soaring into the sky, and the laser weapon hit Thanos regardless of wear and tear. Thanos, who had lost his battle armor, bared his teeth and resisted with his body. The laser hit the hard Titan's skin, leaving red marks. Hawkeye shot arrow after arrow at the Infinity Gauntlet in Thanos' hand non-stop, and the arrows exploded at the touch of a button. Thanos on the shockwave belt is constantly backed away by the blast from Tony's laser weapon. Steve arrived at this moment, and when Thanos had no time to take care of it, the hammer in his hand hit Thanos' right hand holding the glove. Boom! Thanos roared in pain and was sent flying. The glove also came out of his hand and fell to the ground. Seeing this, Nebula in 2014 stepped forward to pick up the gloves, but was blocked by Nebula in the future, and the two wrestled together. Good chance. Seeing the situation, Tony immediately flew to the place where the glove landed. Just as he was about to pick it up, Thanos rushed out, blasting Tony more than 10 meters away with his heavy fist. With a roar, Thor made a run up, and the thunder axe swung round and aimed at Thanos' head to chop off. Thanos slammed down and dodged sideways, hitting Thor's heart with a blow from the Black Tiger. The fat Thor didn't have time to dodge, he received a solid punch, and immediately held his breath in his chest. Thanos finished with a punch, lifted Thor up, roared and threw it at the guy who kept shooting arrows. Seeing that he couldn't dodge, Hawkeye had no choice but to catch it hard. The two collided with each other immediately, and both lay on the ground, unable to get up for a while. When several people were fighting, Tony ran to the glove again, and he grabbed the glove without any hesitation and was about to soar into the sky. But a big hand stretched out from behind and firmly grasped his ankle. Boom! Tony was knocked to the ground by the big hand. Tony struggled to increase the power of the thrusters, but it was too late. Thanos grabbed Tony and swung him left and right on the ground. If it wasn't for wearing a nano battle suit, Tony might have died half-life. Seeing that the Iron Man in his hand didn't respond, he seemed to have been knocked unconscious. Thanos simply throws him at Steve as a throwing weapon. Everyone tried their best to attack, but the strength of the Titan's body was huge. Unlike Thanos, who was exhausted 5 years ago, Thanos from 2014 is younger and stronger, and everyone is no match for him. After getting rid of a few annoying ants, before they calmed down, Thanos quickly picked up the glove and put it on his right hand without hesitation. Roar! The 6 infinite gems stimulated huge amounts of energy, which flowed through Thanos's meridians and blood vessels throughout his body, constantly destroying the Titan's body, causing him to roar in pain. This feeling is like being bound tightly by a lightning-like rope, and it is still constantly shrinking. However, this is nothing compared to the great cause he is about to accomplish. No matter how much pain, he can bear it. After a blast, Thanos gradually adapted to the power of infinite gems. When the pain eased a little, Thanos had a little smile on his face. He looked at the Avengers who were making a final charge towards him in front of him, and shook his head. It was already too late. With the right hand carrying the Infinity Gauntlet, the thumb and middle finger slowly moved together. Do not. Steve, who was still charging, had despair in his eyes, and his mind went blank. Is destiny. Thanos gritted his teeth and said this, twisting his fingers hard. Just before Thanos snapped his fingers, an orange-red light, with infinite energy, accurately hit Thanos' right hand. That fiery light, even if it is more than 10 meters away from him, can feel the scorching breath. Everyone's eyes changed from initial surprise to horror. The orange-red laser shot directly covered Thanos' entire palm. When the laser light disappears, Thanos' entire right hand disappears with it. Roar! Thanos was taken aback for a moment, and then huge amounts of pain came from his right arm. Couldn't help crying out in pain. He looked at his right arm in disbelief. His right hand, including his forearm, completely disappeared under this laser. The skin near the forearm has also turned into charred, emitting black smoke. The mechanical glove loaded with infinite gems has also been completely evaporated, leaving only infinite gems falling to the ground. Thanos clutched his arm, gritted his teeth and looked in the direction of the laser. It's Lin Feng. Under the watchful eyes of several people, he walked into the battlefield unhurriedly, his eye sockets still glowing orange, and his eyes were terrifyingly bright. The red kryptonite boosted his physique enough to receive more gem energy. If the heat ray just now was fired at the Earth, it could almost penetrate it in a very short time. However, the price is that Lin Feng's eyes are in severe pain at this moment, and he can't help crying. Seeing Lin Feng walking towards him slowly, Thanos' eyes flickered. Regardless of his injured right arm, his remaining left hand wanted to grab the gemstone on the ground. However, with the disappearance of the gloves, all this becomes futile. What is the use of losing the gloves even if he gets infinite gems? I can't snap my fingers anymore. Boom! Lin Feng's walking figure suddenly accelerated, and punched Thanos, sending him flying. Bending down to pick up the infinite gems that fell on the ground, Lin Feng's eye sockets finally stopped glowing. Your intention is good. Lin Feng sighed. However, your actions and goals are too radical. There are so many ways to mitigate the dire consequences of population explosion. You chose the most radical one, and you are destined to fail. Thanos struggled to get up from the ground. He didn't recognize who was in front of him. Nebula's memory picture, he had never seen his existence. I have to do this. For the development of the universe. I've seen too much hunger, pain, struggle and war. Thanos spoke weakly but firmly. All of this is the result of life not knowing how to control it. Only by destroying half of the life will the remaining half survive. Lin Feng sneered and shook his head. Indeed, Thanos has conquered countless planets, killed half of the life, left the other half, and gained prosperity in a short period of time. However, all of this is only temporary, and under the impetus of time, everything will return to the original point. The reason why Thanos has this idea is inextricably related to his experience. This mode of behavioral thinking comes from what he has seen and heard on his home planet. If there is a chance, I really want to send you to the ancient East to study. Maybe their control over the population can broaden your horizons. But now, Thanos, you must pay for what you have done. Lin Feng said melancholy. His eyes looked around the battlefield around him. This war was started by Thanos. As Lin Feng said, he installed the infinite gems on Superman's wrist one by one. The 6 gemstones were integrated one by one, and Lin Feng's wristband suddenly became colorful, a little gaudy. Huge energy began to pour into Lin Feng's body. Unlike Thanos, with the promotion of red kryptonite, coupled with the double restraint of Superman's wristband, Lin Feng's pain is not too strong, and he can fully bear it. This is different from his use of infinite gems to augment heat ray, which requires energy absorption into the body before it can be augmented. However, Lin Feng wants to snap his fingers, but he doesn't need to put energy into his body. Thanos looked at Lin Feng quietly. The tide is over. Thanos clearly knew that if the orange-red laser just now was aimed at his head, then he would no longer exist. He had never seen Lin Feng's strength before, and those 2 so-called black-robed friends were probably buried in his hands. His goal was stranded again. He was calmer than ever at this moment, just watching Lin Feng put the infinite gems on a wristband. Who the hell are you? Thanos' lips squirmed for a while, but finally he wanted to know Lin Feng's identity. Lin Feng raised his left hand wearing the Superman wristband, and the 6 infinite gems echoed each other, emitting light. Me. Lin Feng looked at Thanos calmly. My name is Lin Feng. Snapped. When the words fell, snap your fingers and type. The invisible energy spread out again. The Thanos Legion fighting the Avengers all paused at this moment, their expressions gradually becoming bewildered. A feeling rose in my heart, as if my body no longer belonged to me. The next moment, they all turned into smoke, particles, drifted away with the wind, and then disappeared. An indescribable atmosphere hit everyone's heart. The sudden change made the Avengers a little bit at a loss. They didn't know what happened. Thanos cast his eyes on the battlefield, looking around helplessly. His subordinates, one by one, turned into dust and scattered in the air. Thanos' mood at the moment was a little lost, a little overwhelmed, and a little indescribably sad and peaceful. As if resigned to his fate, his huge body staggered 2 steps before sitting down on a rock. He raised his head hard, and seemed to have difficulty breathing. In the end, he quietly closed his eyes. Thanos from the Titan star also slowly dissipated under this snap of his fingers. He and all the legions under his command disappeared. Just like 5 years ago, under the snap of fingers, half of life was overwhelmed. Quiet. In the last second, the sound of shouting and killing went straight to the battlefield and the sky. The next moment was deathly silence. Only the sound of the ruins burning and cracking remains. After a long time, as if he came back to his senses, the silent battlefield erupted with cheers that shook the sky. At the moment, the Avengers, who had just realized it, hugged each other with tears in their eyes. Regardless of race or region, they are venting their joy. This time, they managed to save the universe from Thanos. The indescribable joy, relaxation, and sense of accomplishment lingered in the sky and never disappeared for a long time. Lin Feng watched Thanos disappear with some melancholy, and sighed. He didn't lie, Thanos' starting point is good, but his behavior and purpose are too radical, so radical that he will not succeed. Lin Feng turned his head and looked at the Avengers who were embracing each other, feeling a sense of relief welling up in his heart. He saw Tony and couldn't help but smile. Tony Stark. I snapped my fingers for you. Holding Pepper, Tony turned to Steve and asked, "Why is he looking at me like that?" Steve showed a disheartened smile. Who knew that? After speaking, Steve limped towards Lin Feng. "Where are you going, old man?" Tony called after him. Steve didn't look back. "Go and thank him." Tony shrugged and looked down at Pepper in his arms. Pepper just smiled and gave him a look with no meaning. "Okay." Tony rolled his eyes, hesitated for a moment, and walked towards Lin Feng. With the snap of Lin Feng's fingers, the final battle came to an end. Half of the lost life returns again. Countless families wept bitterly, but wept with joy. Blue Star is busy again like 5 years ago. Next to the monument on the square, there are several more statues of the Avengers. Even a statue of Lin Feng was put up. Although everyone doesn't know this superhero with black hair and black eyes and wearing a black battle suit. But everyone knows that the reason they can reunite again is precisely because of the Avengers in front of them. Blue Star is back on track again. The originally deserted streets became prosperous again after a day. Abandoned schools, suspended factories, and stranded ships are being cleaned up and used again. And because the ringing refers to Lin Feng, not Tony Stark. This turned what should have been Tony Stark's funeral into a victory celebration. But before the banquet starts, they still have one more thing to do. By the same lake, workers are cleaning up the ruins of the Avengers base. The Avengers gathered in the small gazebo that had been damaged. Bruce Banner, Steve Rogers, Tony Stark, Lindsay Barton, Thor Odinson, Scott Lang. They stood quietly behind Lin Feng, with serious and dignified faces. Lin Feng turned around and looked around them. He took a deep breath, nodded as if preparing for something. Everyone nodded in response, their eyes filled with solemnity and anticipation. Lin Feng turned around, took another deep breath, and closed his eyes. The 6 infinite gems on the wristband slowly lit up at this moment. Under the eager gaze of Stark and his group, Lin Feng raised his left hand, just like the one he snapped on the battlefield 2 days ago. Lin Feng calmed down, and with the help of the system, he slowly spoke in his heart. "Soul Gem, I know you have self-awareness. Bring back Natasha Romanoff's soul." That's right, Lin Feng is communicating with Soul Gem. Infinite gems have their own consciousness. Lin Feng can simply exchange some information with them under the connection of the system. The gem was silent for a long time, and there was a wave of rejection, which represented rejection. Lin Feng was not in a hurry, and just spoke again. "A soul is nothing to you. Give Natasha Romanoff's soul back. Don't make me rough." The wave of rejection came faster, even mixed with a trace of disdain. "I'll say it again, return Natasha Romanoff's soul, or I'll use other rough stones to destroy you. Don't doubt what I say. I only give you 1 minute to think about it, and after 1 minute, I will snap my fingers. Your destruction, or Natasha Romanoff's return, the decision is in your hands." Seeing that good words were not enough, Lin Feng directly threatened with a cold face. He believed that Soul Gem would make the right choice. The waiting time was long. Tony pressed his thumbnail against his teeth, couldn't help but tilt his head, and asked Steve in a low voice. Why hasn't he moved? Although the voice was small, everyone heard it, and all eyes were on Tony. Steve frowned and shook his head at Tony, motioning him to read on. Tony was also uncomfortably stabbed and raised his hands in a gesture of surrender. Everyone turned their attention to Lin Feng again. After some negotiations, Soul Gem reluctantly sent a hint of submissiveness. Lin Feng breathed a sigh of relief when he got the information, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Soul Gem is not a fool. In the face of a soul and its own survival, it knows how to choose. Snapped. Lin Feng snapped his fingers. Several people cheered up and their eyes widened. In front of Lin Feng, ripples were visible to the naked eye. With the fluctuation of snapping fingers, a figure slowly walked out of it. It was Natasha Romanoff with a braided head and a dazed look on her face. For infinite gems, the results of different usage methods are quite different. Just like a goddess, you approach her carefully, and she will make you happy for a few days with just a few perfunctory words. However, when you take off her goddess halo, you will find that the goddess is not much different from other girls. In Lin Feng's eyes, Infinite Gems is a large-scale augmentation tool, equivalent to an artifact in online games. You have to be its master, not its licking dog. The endgame is over, Thanos is wiped out, countless lives return, and Natasha Romanoff brought back by Lin Feng with a snap of his fingers. Blue Star ushered in a happy ending. A group of Avengers gathered in a club and had a celebration carnival. In the club, the whole environment is warm and harmonious. The older Tony is more calm than when he was young, otherwise there should be an atmosphere group composed of a group of hot girls now. Everyone gathered together in twos and threes to chat, enjoying the rare time that belonged to them. Smiles filled everyone's faces, and when it came to excitement, there was a burst of laughter from time to time. There was also a dinner party in the evening, and Lin Feng was also invited. No one will forget him, the great hero who solved the war with 3 punches and 2 kicks. Natasha Romanoff sat with Hawkeye and glanced at Lin Feng from time to time. When looking at Lin Feng, he would smile and nod his thanks. Lin Feng sat on the sofa, dismissed the one-eyed marinated egg with a few words, then drank the wine to himself, watching the carnival in front of him with a smile. Ding! A wonderful voice rang in Lin Feng's ears. The system brought the settlement of this task. The rewards for this task are settled as follows. Main task. Reward 30 million prestige. Killing 1 exile. Reward 10 million reputation. Evaluation of this mission. 8 combined with the difficulty of the mission and the progress of the plot collapse. Reward. 3 pieces of special red kryptonite. The strengthening version of the Tree of Life leaves is 30 packs. Weak Artificial Intelligence Program. Holy Place No. 2 Spacecraft. A Master Key use ×3. In addition to prestige, it also gave some weird things. Seeing the Holy Place No. 2 spacecraft, Lin Feng froze for a moment. Isn't this Thanos' car? They also disappeared together with a snap of their fingers. What are you doing for yourself? This thing is not as fast as its own flight. After thinking about it, Lin Feng decided to find an opportunity to throw him to Tony, let him study and study, maybe there is some technology that can be used. As for the Master Key, Lin Feng took it out and glanced at the description. Master Key use 3 times. The key to open the world with coordinates. Brief description, concise and to the point. It seems that it should be the kind of prop that allows oneself to go to the DC universe. Lin Feng put it back and left him alone for now. As for the 10 million prestige value of the exile, it is equivalent to missing it, and the 2 exiles are a bit ridiculously weak. And the film version of Thanos is not strong enough at all. The reason why there are so many reputation points is probably due to the bonus of the main line and the nature of the event. After all, without Lin Feng, Thanos probably would have snapped his fingers. After the reward settlement was completed, Lin Feng couldn't help asking about the system. The system obviously concealed a lot of information from him. Lin Feng couldn't sleep if he didn't make these issues clear. Under Lin Feng's insistence and constant pressure, the system reluctantly revealed some information again. The reason why the exiles will focus on the system is because the system will disappear completely only if the authority and functions of the system are completely deprived. Exile has been doing something similar, collecting all system permissions and functions that are opposed to him. The 2 little fools sent this time thought that Lin Feng's Kryptonian blood system was an ordinary system, but they didn't expect it to be the strongest system. Wait, Lin Feng interrupted suddenly with a wave of his hand. You can't even kill an exile, you say you are the strongest system. The system nodded, and replied with some pride, that's right, and I'm still the one with the most resources and the strongest cards in all the systems. Lin Feng leaned back, what are you bragging about? I didn't see it at all. It also has the most resources. There are only 3 melons and 2 dates in the system store. What impresses me the most is that Black Widow's underwear. Lin Feng's eyes were full of contempt and disgust. The system was embarrassed. What I said is true, the dog host can think about it. If I am not the strongest one, how could it be possible for you to have the template of Superman from the beginning? Lin Feng was taken aback for a moment by saying this. What he said is so right. In the novels that Lin Feng has read, it is true that the host grows up bit by bit, and he himself touched Tianyu from the very beginning. As for the 3 melons and 2 dates in the system store, it's actually the host that you haven't read carefully. After all, many things basically don't add much to your Superman template. The system selectively puts everything related to Superman on the first layer. Hee hee. Lin Feng sneered, the Black Widow's underwear is also related to Superman. The system decisively changed the topic. As for the exile, the system really can't do it by itself. If the system does, then my real data will be noticed by the super exile of the first sequence. Host, you can't beat them now, so the system can't do anything. Using automatic defense is also a helpless move, but this can prevent me from entering their site. If I am discovered by a high-level exile, I will have nothing to do with you. In short, what the host needs now is to improve his strength as soon as possible. Because according to the calculations of the system, one of the ultimate goals of the exile is likely to be the blue star outside the fourth wall. It's the original world where you, the host, traveled before. Lin Feng paused the wrist holding the wine glass, a little dazed. Are you sure? Lin Feng couldn't believe it. The system's words were like a bomb, and he was so tender on the outside and tender on the inside. Why did they want to target the blue star outside the fourth wall? Is there anything worthy of their covet? The blue star outside the fourth wall, in Lin Feng's impression, did not have any extraordinary power, not even a supernatural being. How could the exile be eyeing the blue star beyond the fourth wall? The system knew what Lin Feng was thinking, and continued, the blue star outside the fourth wall, although it doesn't have extraordinary items or power. But the blue star outside the fourth wall has the origin of all fantasy elements. The host can think about it, whether it's the Marvel Universe, the DC Universe, or the anime universe, where did it come from? Lin Feng's eyes flickered, he instantly understood the meaning of the system, and murmured, it's a story created by the blue star residents outside the fourth wall. His breathing gradually became faster, and he had a terrible thought. That's right. It's all created by them. They can raise you from the strength of ants to the almighty universe level with one stroke. If they do go beyond the fourth wall, guess what will happen? Lin Feng fell silent, his face became ugly. If the exile really ran beyond the fourth wall, then the entire universe could be reduced to dust in one stroke. He regretted asking the system for such information. Help, I'm still a child, so you let me travel here because I am an aborigine outside the fourth wall? Lin Feng asked with a sad face. Yes, the system replied affirmatively. You come from outside the fourth wall, and you are unique in all universes. Even if they really wiped out all universes with one stroke, you will not disappear. In other words, the host has enough chances to fight back. And the host doesn't have to worry too much. For countless years, the exiles have never found a way to go beyond the fourth wall. Even if they captured many Deadpools in the universe, there was no result. At present, we still have enough time to get up and develop. All right, Lin Feng sighed, digesting this frightening information. The ultimate goal of the exile is to go to the blue star beyond the fourth wall. No matter what their purpose is, it will not be a good result. Fortunately, I still have enough time to develop. Lin Feng is not a pessimistic person either, as soon as he comes, he will be at ease. I thought my opening Superman template was Wang Zha. Who knew it was an appetizer? Now Lin Feng wants to upgrade the Superman template even more urgently. On the second day, Lin Feng set off to return to his own Marvel universe. Before leaving, he brought a lot of presents, which were stuffed by Steve and the others. Lin Feng felt a little embarrassed, so he took out the strengthening version of the Leaf of Life presented by the system, and gave a pack to each person. This thing is the strengthening version of the tea that Lin Feng gave to Ancient One, and the effect is even stronger. Possessing a good healing ability, all currently known diseases are no problem. Moreover, it can rejuvenate human cells. As long as there is a breath, it is basically not a problem to revive it. Everyone was surprised, but they all accepted it, without any intention of being polite to Lin Feng. Mainly, the temptation of this thing is too strong. According to Lin Feng, it can also make people look younger. No one can refuse it. It is worth mentioning that before Lin Feng left, he asked Tony for a Mark 85 nanometer battle suit. Originally, Tony didn't want to give it to him, but looking at the strengthening version of the Leaf of Life in his hand, he still made one for him with a sigh. Just tell Lin Feng, don't send him to the old Tony Stark, because it will have an unpredictable butterfly effect. Lin Feng nodded and agreed with a smile all over his face, but he had other thoughts in his heart. He came across from outside the fourth wall. This is equivalent to his second hometown, and he doesn't want to see any bad things happen under the mischief of the exile. In order to prevent future troubles, Lin Feng felt that there were some things that needed to be proactive. He wants to arm all the superheroes on Earth, at least to the point where they can tear Thanos apart. An incomplete plan appeared in Lin Feng's mind. After bidding farewell to everyone, Lin Feng left the parallel universe in a flash of light. Under the guidance of the system, Lin Feng returned to his familiar place. The universe he traveled through. Great, familiar outer space. System. Lin Feng called out. Where did you send the Silver Superman template? The system pops out. On a planet with life. I have its coordinates, should the host get it now. Lin Feng scratched his head. Can't you take it back? Does not. Okay, I'll go home first. Then go find it. We've been away for 2 months, Susan and the others should be worried. Lin Feng thought it would be better to go back first. If he evolves into a Silver Superman now, it will take another 2 months. If I don't tell Susan, I will be worried. And after 2 months of absence, Lin Feng has not rested, and needs to relax mentally. Anyway, the dog system has said that even if someone picks it up, it can't be used. This thing is bound to Lin Feng. After making a plan, Lin Feng flew towards the earth. At the moment's waist twister, it's night. Lin Feng quietly fell from the sky and landed in his villa. The villa was brightly lit. Lin Feng took out the key and walked towards the main entrance. Susan was sitting in the villa, frowning at the computer screen. On the computer screen, there is a piece of news. Tony Stark was attacked by unknown forces today. The villa on Marbury Street was devastated by helicopter fire. So far, Tony Stark's whereabouts are unknown, and there is even evidence that Iron Man Tony Stark has died. The news was released in the afternoon, and Tony's villa was bombed, also today. Susan knew that Tony was one of Lin Feng's few friends, and she felt that Lin Feng would be very sad if Tony really died. But now Lin Feng doesn't know where he is, and he can't be contacted. She touched the wristband Lin Feng gave her with some hesitation. Perhaps, she could be of some help. Click. The sudden sound of the door opening interrupted Susan's thoughts. With a thought in her heart, she raised her little head and looked over. It's Lin Feng. Lin, you're back. Susan ran over joyfully, hugged Lin Feng, and kissed Lin Feng. It is said that Xiaobi is better than newlyweds. After 2 months of separation, the two still miss each other very much. It was too late to express her longing that she hadn't seen for a long time, and after a hasty greeting, Susan pulled Lin Feng to the sofa. Lin, something happened to Tony, Susan said, pulling the laptop over and showing it to Lin Feng. Lin Feng was taken aback. Something happened to Tony. He quickly checked the news, looking at 10 lines at a glance. On the computer screen, Tony Stark's clamor and the bombing of Marbury Villa were played back and forth in a loop. In the end, all the major reports expressed that Tony Stark's whereabouts were unknown, and his life and death were unknown. Lin Feng knew in his heart, isn't this the plot of Iron Man 3? Good guy, it's Tony. Publicly clamoring about the so-called Mandarin, she even disclosed the address of her own villa. Really, a man of high art and boldness. Lin Feng couldn't help but wanted to laugh, but then he thought, wouldn't Tony suffer from anxiety like the original book? Susan looked at Lin Feng in surprise. Lin, why are you laughing? Shouldn't Lin Feng go out for a trip and go crazy? A good friend is not alive or well now, yet he can still laugh out loud. Lin Feng waved his hand. Tony is fine, he is still alive. You know. Susan froze for a moment, then nodded thoughtfully. He knew that Lin Feng had supervision and super hearing, but she blushed when she first learned that Lin Feng could see through. Lin Feng nodded. Yes, I know. Lin Feng thought of the Mark 85 armor in his own space, and had an idea in his mind. I'm out to meet Tony. Be right back. Hearing this, Susan pouted. She hadn't seen her for 2 months, and she just came back and was about to leave. But Susan also knew that the business was important, so she didn't stop her. In this way, Lin Feng, who had just returned home and had no time to rest, embarked on a journey again. In the middle of the night, on a quiet road, a high-speed black Audi suddenly stopped by the side of the road. Tony held the steering wheel, feeling an inexplicable palpitation, and he took uncontrollable gulps of breath. What's wrong with the power supply? Tony got emotional. This is my battle suit, I can't. God, here we go again. Tony pushed open the car door and slumped on the ground. This symptom is not the first time. When he learned that the battle suit could not be used, a kind of panic broke out uncontrollably. Anxiety neurosis. Anxiety for short. This symptom has appeared since the Chidori War. Unknown threats make Tony feel insecure all the time. At the slightest hint of something wrong, even the mention of the Chidori, the waist twister, Tony would have a fit. Now, he was going to Miami to find the Mandarin who ruined his villa, but was told that the armor might not be activated. Panic struck and Tony felt short of breath. Tony. Harry's voice came from the phone. Are you having a seizure again? I didn't mention the twister. Tony's eyes widened, and his breathing became even more rapid. Yes, you just said it. You said it when you didn't mention it. Well. Harry was a little embarrassed. Oh God, Tony panted violently, his brain was a little dizzy. What should I do? Take a deep breath. Tony, take a deep breath. Harry tried to guide Tony into relief. You're a mechanic, aren't you? Yeah, I'm a mechanic, Tony replied breathlessly, as he'd said when he was introduced to the brat. Harry's voice came again. Then why don't you build something? One sentence made Tony stunned for a moment, and then his heart moved. Correct. He calls himself a mechanic and is proficient in mechanical production. In a seemingly ordinary hardware store, Tony can combine countless weapons. Even without armor, he is not powerless to fight back. Why not build something against Mandarin? Thinking of this, Tony's symptoms gradually eased, his inexplicable panic gradually eased, and his breathing also stabilized. Tony nodded, his tone regained a little calm. Yeah, I'm a mechanic, maybe I should build something. But in the next second, watching the black figure flying from a distance, Tony suddenly had other thoughts. Okay, thanks a lot, little brat. Maybe I have a better way. Let's talk next time. After speaking, Tony cut off the communication, leaving Harry on the other end of the phone with a dazed expression. A better way? What's he talking about? Harry glanced at the Mark 42, which was charging. JARVIS, do you know what he's talking about? I don't know. Lin Feng, wearing a black battle suit, landed in front of Tony. He saw Tony's attack from a distance, and he was a little puzzled. With his existence, the Chidori invasion was almost resolved at the lowest cost. Without the nuclear bomb, Tony did not fly out of the wormhole. How could he suffer from anxiety? Hey, Tony. Lin Feng suppressed the doubts in his heart, and was about to make a side note. Christmas, why don't you have a party with Pepper, and run to this wilderness by yourself? Looking at Tony's miserable appearance from top to bottom, Lin Feng's tone was very joking. Could it be possible to make Xiaojiao angry again? Even the sofa won't let you sleep. Deliberately throwing down a few sentences, Tony instantly forgot about the embarrassment just now. Exactly. Pepper didn't like my Christmas presents and kicked me out of the house. As you can see, I can only run to this wilderness now. With all the troubles piled up recently, Tony is too lazy to break up with Lin Feng. What did you send? That rabbit with a big bear? Lin Feng asked. He remembered that in the original book Tony gave a big, tall, ridiculously bare doll rabbit. Pepper was speechless for a while. Did Tony think she was too small? Tony was puzzled for a moment. How do you know? Liangzi is speechless. It really is that big bear rabbit. Who would like this ghost thing? Except Tony. Okay, it's useless not to talk about it. I saw the news. Lin Feng said. Your house has been fired. What else popped up? Mandarin. You are also a talent, and you directly announced your address to the world. Hearing this, Tony sighed. He definitely knew that he was on the news, and his information was published in all the newspapers. I also regret it now. The news is about to give me a funeral. It's not a big problem, just don't be so impulsive next time. Lin Feng smacked his lips. He also knew that Tony had a lot of troubles recently, and most of them were caused by anxiety attacks. After thinking for a while, Lin Feng took out 2 small square boxes from the system space. It was bought by him on the way here. He handed one of them to Tony. Here. Tony took it subconsciously. What is this? A Christmas present. With that said, Tony opened the box. Tony smiled when he saw what was in the box. It's a cheeseburger. Well, this might be the best gift I've ever received this Christmas. After speaking, Tony sat down on the floor again and gnawed on the hamburger in his hand. Lin Feng is not a hypocritical person. He sat next to Tony with a hamburger, ate it, and then asked his own question a little casually. Tell me, how did you suffer from anxiety? Hearing Lin Feng's question, Tony paused as he ate his hamburger. How do you know everything? Hi. Lin Feng didn't answer either, just stared at Tony, eating his burger. The two just sat on the ground and ate, while Lin Feng looked at Tony, waiting for him to speak. The silence was long and uncomfortable. After a while, Tony felt uncomfortable, and the hamburger in his hand was no longer delicious. Okay. Tony took a deep breath. He didn't intend to say it. After all, it was a bit embarrassing. I don't know what to say. You may not know, the last time the waist twister fought. It's that alien named Chidori. Tony stretched out his hand and gestured. Although I don't want to admit it, he left a deep impression on me. Tony had a complicated expression. He calmed down and continued to talk. Lin Feng, you know I don't have your inhuman strength. I don't even know if my armor can withstand the next invasion. What if one day they come back and you're not around? I'm a little, well, I really don't want to admit it, it's a bit embarrassing. I'm terrified. After speaking, Tony let out a long breath, as if the whole person relaxed. These words, he only mentioned a few words in front of Xiaojili. Speaking to Lin Feng now, there is a feeling of relaxation. There's no shame in sharing your fears with your Superman friends. Lin Feng nodded seriously, not kidding Tony. If Lin Feng didn't have this Superman template, he would also be terrified of it. After a little thought, Lin Feng uttered a sage saying. I can understand what you said. There is a good saying. All fear comes from insufficient firepower. The way you look now looks like a lack of firepower phobia. Seeing Lin Feng's serious look, Tony was taken aback for a moment, thinking about what Lin Feng said. What he said makes sense. The watch is good, it suits you very well. Lin Feng joked, breaking away from this heavy topic. Tony's wearing a kid's watch from Harry the Kid. Seriously, Tony, do you need my help this time? You know, I can easily take care of that. What Mandarin? Lin Feng did not choose to help Tony directly. Tony is conceited and has a strong self-esteem. The so-called Mandarin belongs to Tony. He respects Tony as a friend, and if Tony really needs it, he will ask. No. Tony was silent for a while, but refused. I'm going to do it myself, twist that Mandarin's head off myself, and let him know that I'm not easy to mess with. When he first saw Lin Feng flying over, Tony planned to seek his help. However, after some conversation, Tony had a new idea, and he decided to face all this with strength. Definitely, Lin Feng is used as a backup plan. After expressing his heart, Tony also relaxed his mind. His friend can easily solve the current predicament. It's just that he doesn't want to seek Lin Feng's help too much. Tell me about you, what has you missed for 2 months? Tony brought up a new topic. Exactly 2 months have passed since Lin Feng left last time. Before leaving, Lin Feng entrusted Tony to take care of his little girlfriend. Lin Feng looked up at the sky, thinking of his experiences in the past few days, and suddenly laughed. Are you sure you want to know? Tony wondered, is there anything I can't know? Okay, you may not believe it if you tell me. Lin Feng sat on the ground, tapping his fingers on his knees, wanting to tell the truth, but he was a bit hesitant. But after thinking about it, Lin Feng still decided to speak out. After all, one of the reasons for bringing Mark 85 back was to let Tony quickly master the technology and reproduce it. The Mark 85 is a big toy to Lin Feng, but no man can resist this cool friendless thing. After Tony finished his research, let him make a set for Susan. After all, platinum kryptonite is so overkill to deal with some daily threats, and platinum kryptonite is not cheap. Although he could afford it, Lin Feng was unwilling to waste it. After sorting out his thoughts, Lin Feng said slowly, I went to the future in the past 2 months, and I saw you in the future. These words were like thunder, making Tony feel that Lin Feng was swearing. Tony sat back and looked at Lin Feng as if he was looking at a mentally retarded, with a very speechless expression. Is this some kind of fairy tale? Perhaps you can tell Susan. Maybe. Lin Feng touched his nose, took out his phone, and searched for pictures. He knows that Tony is a scientific research madman, time travel or something, it's hard to be convincing without evidence. Look at this, you'll never guess who she is. Lin Feng found a photo and handed the phone to Tony. What is it? Tony took the phone and looked over. Bright lights radiate from the screen of the phone, and a clear photo is in the center of the screen. On the screen, Lin Feng is holding a little girl with long brown hair. The little girl happily compares the scissors hands to the camera. Looking at the picture of the little girl, Tony's brows gradually knit together. Suddenly, a strange feeling came to his heart. Tony felt an inexplicable affinity for the little girl. He patted his head, he didn't understand why he felt this way, she was just an ordinary little girl. Tony didn't quite understand why Lin Feng showed him this. Could it be Lin Feng's illegitimate daughter? Who is this? Is this your illegitimate daughter? Tony raised his eyebrows and attacked mercilessly. Does Susan know? As soon as these words came out, Lin Feng was dumbfounded. Good guy, when you say this, you regret it. This is not my daughter. Lin Feng replied with a strange expression, and then threw out 5 big characters like thunder. This is your daughter. Tony leaned back tactically, plucked his ears, his forehead was full of question marks. My daughter. Christmas isn't April Fool's Day, man. Tony was speechless, he felt that Lin Feng was revenge for what he just said. You don't believe it. Seeing that Tony didn't believe it, Lin Feng laughed out loud. You said that. Tony rolled his eyes, not believing Lin Feng's nonsense. Okay. Lin Feng stretched out his fingers to turn the pages of the photos, revealing a piece of evidence that Tony could not refute. The next photo is still the little girl with brown hair, but the person holding her has become Tony. WTF. Tony's eyes widened, looking at the bearded hippie in the photo in surprise. Is that me? Tony Stark looks older and more composed, a future version of himself. Seeing Lin Feng's solemn nod, Tony took a deep breath, and said to Lin Feng seriously, Lin, tell me this is your forged picture. Seeing that Tony still didn't want to believe it, Lin Feng shook his head. He slid his finger on the screen constantly, and photos about the future appeared in front of the two of them. The familiar Avengers, Steve, Natasha Romanoff, Hawkeye and so on. It's just that the difference from now is that the characters in the photos have a more sophisticated temperament, and there is a trace of vicissitudes on their cheeks that they don't have now. This is indeed you, just you in 2023. Lin Feng affirmed. I did take a trip to the future, a future in a parallel universe. Looking at the photos, Tony shouted in his heart that it was unscientific. He didn't want to believe it, but the facts were in front of him. Although traveling through the future sounds ridiculous, even current science cannot explain this phenomenon. But in Tony's heart, Lin Feng has already gone beyond the scope of scientific explanation. His intuition told him constantly that all this was true. Looking at the photo, Tony took a deep breath and was silent for a while. Well, this is really incredible. Tony shifted his gaze to Lin Feng's face, with a look of curiosity. Have you broken the barrier of time? Not really, it involves a lot of things, it's very complicated. Lin Feng didn't intend to explain too much, but it would take too long to talk about it. Tony shook his head, he knew that Lin Feng had no reason to tease himself at this time. He looked at himself in the photo, hugging the little girl with a doting expression on his face. Is this really my daughter? Tony's eyes flickered, and he kept zooming in and out of the photo with 2 fingers. The little girl who used to be a bit ordinary suddenly became beautiful and cute. This is his Tony Stark's daughter. So cute. After watching for a while, Tony suddenly thought of a question. With whom? With Peppers. Lin Feng's answer reassured Tony. The little girl's innocent face made Tony's heart calm like never before. Wow, can't believe it. How is it, are you feeling better? Tony shook his head, then nodded again. Almost. I can't believe it, you went to the future. It's totally unscientific. Lin Feng laughed, pointed to himself, and said, there are too many unscientific ones. Do you think I am scientific? You are the most unscientific thing I've ever seen. Tony stared at Lin Feng, whose physical fitness completely violated what Tony had learned all his life. Lin Feng shrugged his shoulders indifferently. That's it. Tony stretched out his fingers to touch the screen, as if he wanted to touch the little girl's hair from the air. You shouldn't have told me this, Lin. His face was a little serious, I shouldn't know this, this may cause an unpredictable butterfly effect. Tony's worries are not unfounded. Knowing the future in advance will change the future. Tony couldn't imagine how he would feel if something went wrong and his daughter was lost. Lin Feng waved his hand. Isn't this to treat your anxiety disorder? For Pepper, for your daughter Morgan, you have to overcome anxiety too. Besides, the matter is not as serious as you imagined. Morgan is the daughter of you and Pepper, no one can change this fact. Lin Feng said indifferently, even if the relationship between Tony and Pepper really deviated, they would come together again because of various things. After all, this is not the blue star outside the fourth wall, there is such a thing as a script here. Simply put, it is the correction from the world line. Even if something goes wrong, Lin Feng can use the mind gem to make Tony forget about the future. Her name is Morgan. Little Morgan. Tony put aside his worries for a while and asked curiously. Morgan Stark. Tony showed an old father's smile, and praised, what a good name. Lin Feng's face darkened, how could this stinking shameless brag about himself, should he be called Tony Stark? Pulling back the phone, Lin Feng stood up and stretched. Okay. I'm going back. Go and solve that Mandarin yourself. Seeing that the phone was taken away, Tony opened his eyes. Don't, I haven't seen enough. I'll send it to your mailbox later. Remember not to show it to others. As he spoke, Lin Feng took out a triangular glowing object from his backpack and stuffed it into Tony's hand. I didn't want to give you this thing. But your armor seems to be offline. It relieves your underfire phobia. Take it to your Mandarin. Tony took it subconsciously, with some doubts. What is this? A not-so-thick piece of metal, the triangular glowing object is exactly the same as his small arc reactor. Oh right, I just remembered that you probably don't know how to use it now. Come on, I'll teach you how to use it. Lin Feng took the triangle back, pressed it on Tony's chest, and tapped the reactor twice. In the next second, countless nanoparticles surged out like a swarm of insects, which shocked Tony. Whoa, what is this? Tony looked at the change in his body in surprise. The silver, bug swarm, was fast, climbing constantly along Tony's limbs. Nanotechnology. Tony, remember to return it to me when you run out. Throwing a word, Lin Feng floated into the air, patted his buttocks and flew away. I haven't seen you for 2 months, and Lin Feng is still waiting to go back and have an in-depth exchange with Susan. With this nano battle suit, Tony's safety and revenge plans are completely within the reach. In a short while, the nanoparticles spread all over Tony's body, and his appearance changed into golden red. A futuristic battle suit full of sci-fi and muscularity appeared for the first time in an era that did not belong to it. Iron Man's exclusive gold-red color scheme and smoother muscle lines highlight the combination of strength and technology. Base. The light on the outer armor and the inside of the visor light up continuously, the rows of data start to scroll, and the battle suit starts to start a self-test. Sir, I'm plugged in. Before Tony could respond, a voice came from inside the battle suit. JARVIS. It's me, sir. JARVIS replied, and the moment the nano battle suit took shape, JARVIS plugged in. Checking battle suit data, sir. As soon as JARVIS went live, it started loading battlesuit data without Tony's instructions. The stream of data constantly flashes across the visor, and Tony observes his arms covered with the battlesuit through the visor. The familiar gold and red pairing is his style. Compared with Tony's current armor, the curve of the arm is smoother and stronger. Tony lifted his foot and tried to walk a couple of steps. The first thing I feel is extremely smooth, light and flexible. This alone is incomparable to all his battle suits so far. Could it be a battle suit made by my future self? Tony's eyes flickered, and a light flashed in his heart, waiting patiently for the data detection of JARVIS. It was only a few seconds, but Tony felt that it was extremely long. The self-test was soon over, and the voice of JARVIS sounded again, a completely incredible masterpiece. How did you make it? As the rows of data were sorted out, even JARVIS, an artificial intelligence, was amazed. And its signature comes from a familiar line of English. Tony Stark. Tony also saw his name, and his heart beat uncontrollably with excitement. Release the battle suit data first. Tony ordered, calming down. At this moment, Tony is extremely curious about the functions of this battle suit. Data has been updated, battle suit codename, Mark 85. Tony's heart moved, this number once again verified what he thought in his heart, this battle suit was made by himself in the future. This battle suit adopts nanotechnology, supplemented by spare nanoparticles, which can make the battle suit self-repair when it is partially damaged. It is equipped with conventional weapons such as arm missiles and shoulder missiles. Possess a field energy augmented proton cannon. Hand impact beam augmentation device, impact pile, laser cutting device. Nanoalloy shield, energy shield. Random shapeshifting nanomaterials conform synthesis melee weapons. Even loaded with med spray and emergency repair filler, sir. Tony was short of breath. Rows of data are listed inside the visor. Technologies that currently only exist in theory are integrated into the battle suit. It simply blows away all the steel battle suits he has so far. Mark 42 is not fragrant in an instant. Flight ability that is several times faster than the speed of sound, and even has the ability to fight in space. Incredible destructive power and defensive performance. There is also ease of use and multifunction, and perfect battery life. JARVIS continued. The technology it possesses does not belong to the present, sir. I believe that this is a device made by you in the future. After all, the serial number it displays is K85. That's right, I now completely believe that Lin Feng really took a trip to the future. Tony murmured as he looked at the scary armor data in front of him. This battle suit is too sci-fi. Sci-fi to the point that Tony feels like he's dreaming. But thinking that this nano battle suit was built by his future self, Tony's blood boiled again. As expected of me, this battle suit combines all his ideas. Simply perfect. JARVIS, include all Mark 85 technologies in the new battle suit plan. Reverse engineer all the technology and make the nanoparticles first. Now, let's talk to Mandarin first. After the excitement, Tony rushed to the sky wearing a brand new nano battle suit and flew in the direction of Miami. At the moment, his self-confidence in revenge comes from the technology he developed in 2023. In this era, there is only one term to describe it, and that is crushing. With the blessing of Mark 85, Mandarin, including Killian behind him, will no longer be a deadly threat. Lin Feng also knew this, so after throwing the Mark 85 to Tony, he quickly ran home and got tired of Susan. I haven't seen you for 2 months, Lin Feng is almost exhausted. On a dark and stormy night, some people are walking on the road of revenge, and some people are exploring the long-lost mystery. But the happy Lin Feng at the moment didn't know that in other places, there was also a person whose face had turned black from the suffocation. On the space carrier, the black marinated egg looked at the reports one by one with a serious expression. Another day of working overtime. Sir. Hill pushed open the door and came in, a new document in his hand. We observed that Lin Feng has returned to Blue Star. Do you need to contact him? Hill asked, putting down the folder in his hand. This is based on the investigation of the information revealed by Lin Feng some time ago, the details about Hydra. Nick Fury put down the file in his hand and didn't look at the new file. As he tapped the table with his fingers constantly, the heart of Black Braised Egg was very agitated. Contacting him is useless. Take down all the remaining Hydra bases first. Let Steve, Natasha Romanoff and Kay-Lin Tay go. By the way, put Bruce Banner on standby, and hope we don't need his wrath this time. Hearing this, Hill nodded, and then thought of something. Do you need to call Tony Stark? Nick Fury waved his hand. Not for now. His ass is on fire now, let him fix his own problems first. All superhero recent situation, Nick Fury has continuous monitoring. Tony's primary goal now is to solve the recent uproar. Mandarin. Hill nodded and took the order to back out. Nick Fury picked up the document that Hill had just sent over and scanned it. On the data, several newly discovered Hydra bases are marked. Squeezing the space between his eyebrows, Rodin only felt a big pain in his head. After Lin Feng told himself the existence of Hydra, Nick Fury took it to heart and constantly investigated. Originally, he treated it with a dubious mentality, but this investigation directly caused his blood pressure to soar, and he continued to scold him. He didn't expect that Hydra really didn't perish, and was still secretly accumulating its own power. It even jumped back and forth right under my nose. S.H.I.E.L.D. is a fishing net full of holes. During this period of time alone, inside S.H.I.E.L.D., many loyal dogs of Hydra were found. He was so headached that he was about to fall asleep with the help of sleeping pills. I'm afraid he's not the stupidest director of S.H.I.E.L.D. As for what else Lin Feng knows, it's not important anymore, that kid won't reveal too much information. The most important thing now is to destroy all the found Hydra bases. Otherwise, the stewed eggs will not sleep well. Hill conveyed exactly what Nick Fury meant. A series of orders were passed on quickly, and the agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. were on standby. Large-scale bases will wait and see for the time being, and detailed plans need to be formulated. Small bases are handed over to some agents with outstanding abilities. And the medium-sized base is solved by the Avengers led by Steve. With the dispatch of agents constantly, a wave of cleaning procedures aimed at the Hydra base began. The action ability of all the agents is quite gratifying to Black Braised Egg. Overnight, 2 Hydra bases were destroyed under his hands. In the next few days, news of victory and purges came every day. This made Nick Fury's old face black for several days, and finally eased. And with the passing of information layer by layer, more Hydra bases will face a devastating blow. The news that many bases were taken away quickly spread to a Hydra fortress in Eastern Europe. Sitting at the fortress is one of the heads of Hydra, Baron Strucker. Baron Strucker and Steve had been enemies since World War II. The Hydra fortress he is in charge of now has top-notch configurations in defense ability and combat ability that other bases cannot match. Top fighters, top scientific researchers, top intelligence personnel. But now Baron Strucker, staring at the news from his subordinates, has a headache. The cleansing operation from S.H.I.E.L.D. has already started, and some bases have been destroyed as soon as they sent out a distress message. The Avengers' artillery fire has begun to spread, but his research has hit a bottleneck. An intelligence officer ran over with a piece of paper in his hand. Sir, the medium-sized base in the west of Berlin has fallen, and it's the Avengers who shot. Strack frowned tightly, mixed with a trace of irritability. He took the document without even looking at it, and threw it into a trash can in a ball. Seeing this, the intelligence agent shivered and retreated in despair. Any fool could tell that the Baron was in a bad mood, and no one dared to touch him at this moment. Strack tapped his fingers on the table. The movement was exactly the same as Nick Fury. No one knew what he was thinking. After a long while, Strack turned his head and told the guard beside him, "Call the twins over." "Forget it, just bring the girl over." After hesitation, Strack changed his order. He had a plan, and the odds of success were terribly low, but he had to try. The research has been stuck for a long time, but the bad news came constantly. He needs that kind of thing very much now to change the current situation. The strength of the Avengers is too strong, and under his command, there is almost no existence that can counter the Avengers. If the plan is successful, the strength of his subordinates will increase significantly, and he can clearly compete with the superheroes of S.H.I.E.L.D. So no matter how low the probability is, he still has to give it a go. "Sir," a Hydra scientist said cautiously after a slight hesitation. "Her ability cannot meet the mission requirements, and the plan is almost impossible to succeed." As one of Strucker's confidant scientists, they are extremely smart. They had discussed that matter countless times very early on, so they naturally knew what Baron Strucker probably thought about it. Its ability to control the mind alone has made the eyes of many scientific research madmen shine. After our tests, she can only temporarily control others. That's why we need the yellow gem, don't we? Strack asked rhetorically. The twins were the only 2 who survived the experiment. In Strucker's research experiment, a small number of rare materials were used to bestow the 2 people with weak super ability. It may not be rigorous enough to say that it is bestowed, because Strack is not sure whether the 2 originally have the potential of super ability. After all, apart from the twins, the other experimental subjects have died. Now as long as he got that gem, Strucker could proceed to the next step of the experiment. At that time, it might be possible to mass-produce those with super abilities. At this point in his thoughts, Baron Strucker became more and more sure of the thoughts in his heart. According to its data, it can at least increase the ability of mind control several times. It's worth the risk. Seeing Strack's determination, the scientist sighed. He understood Strack's thoughts. After a moment of hesitation, he still opened his mouth to remind, I know what you think, but the gem is now in the hands of that person. Before finishing speaking, Strack knocked on the table again irritably. You think I'm willing to grab something from him? Strack's expression was not good. He definitely knew who his men were talking about. Although that person is not an Avenger, his strength and the Avengers combined are not enough for him to fight. Strack would rather face S.H.I.E.L.D. than him. But in the current situation, there are not so many choices for him. It is better to take the initiative to try than to be beaten passively. Many bases have been destroyed, and there is not much time left for us. It's the only thing that can make us stronger now. We have no choice. Seeing this, the scientist stopped persuading him, and he also knew the seriousness of the matter. Although the super ability of the experimental subject is weak, but the short-term control of others gives Strucker some hope. While the two were talking, the door was pushed open. Soldiers who have just left walked in with a young woman. A red coat, with a black skirt. There are hints of dark red in the long black hair. The eye-catcher has an amazing bare size. It was the younger sister of the twins, Wanda. Thanks for watching, please subscribe and support my channel.